Welcome to a world where every heartbeat speaks the language of royalty, where love is not hidden behind palace gates but revealed through poetic winds that travel far beyond borders. Echoes of a Crowned Heart is not merely a story, it is a realm where Sheikh Hamdan, the prince of poetic passion and the bearer of timeless traditions, lays bare the depths of his soul through ink, silence, and sincerity. Behind the glitter of gold and the glimmer of the crown lies a man who listens to falcons, speaks to the stars, and writes verses to calm storms inside his chest. In his world, power bows before poetry, and thrones surrender to emotion. From the deserts of Dubai to the dunes of his dreams, Sheikh Hamdan walks with dignity shaped not by power alone but by purpose and love. His heart, though adorned with the weight of royal responsibility, beats with the rhythm of an ordinary man seeking extraordinary connection. His verses are not rehearsed declarations, but rather confessions spilled under the moon's silent watch. Every poem he writes is a window cracked open, allowing the world a glimpse into the majestic vulnerability of a man in love, a son loyal to legacy, and a leader shaped by longing. In every quiet moment beneath the palm trees of his private gardens, you can hear the echoes of a heart that has both broken and bloomed. The world sees the Sheikh on horseback, commanding presence, commanding fate. But within his heart lies a battlefield of memory and desire, where the face of one woman rises like the sun he chases in the morning rides. Her laughter, stored in the royal memory like a treasure locked in a vault, still haunts his silences and emboldens his dreams. She is not of the court, but of the cosmos, a star he could not forget. Sheikh Hamdan's world is governed not only by tradition but by the quiet revolutions of love. Every stanza he pens is a rebellion against the restraints that once sought to cage his heart. He does not fear being misunderstood, he fears not being felt. For a man like him, words are not ornaments, they are weapons of honesty, shields of softness, and bridges across worlds too different to touch without courage. And it is through this courage that he speaks, even when the world demands silence from a prince. In the secret chambers of his thoughts, where only poetry is permitted to wander freely, he writes letters never sent, prayers never spoken aloud. The girl who once touched his soul remains his muse, her name forever engraved in the echo of every royal decree disguised as a verse. Not every royal love story ends with fireworks and fanfare. Some end in moonlit sorrow, wrapped in velvet regret and gold-laced memories. Yet, in those endings, Sheikh Hamdan finds his beginning, the beginning of knowing who he truly is. The world of Sheikh Hamdan is not built on towers of pride but on foundations of empathy. His poems often speak to those who have loved and lost, who have led and fallen, who have dreamed and been denied. He carries the weight of not just his people's hopes, but his own unspoken ache. Yet he chooses to rise, not in arrogance, but in art, crafting his pain into peace, his silence into songs, his heartbreak into hope. In the quiet of night, when Dubai sleeps under the veil of stars, the prince becomes the poet. He becomes the man who walks barefoot in his memories, who smiles at the moon like a secret lover, who whispers verses into the wind as if she still walks beside him. This is the Sheikh the world does not see, not the ruler, not the writer, not the royal, but the romantic. The man who believes that to love is not a weakness, but the purest form of leadership. Echoes of a Crowned Heart is not only the echo of Sheikh Hamdan's love, but of his legacy. He teaches that kings are not immortal, but their words can be. That strength is not the absence of tears but the presence of truth. That the world may never fully understand the depth of his devotion, but he will continue to write, because it is the only way to keep her alive in a realm that demands he forget. Even as his crown glistens beneath the sun, it is his heart that glows in the dark. His poetry gives life to silence, face to longing, and soul to sovereignty. No matter how loud the world becomes, there is always a hush in his words that pulls you inward, to listen not with ears, but with the soul. And in that silence, you hear the truth of a man who carries both crown and ache with equal grace. To know Sheikh Hamdan is not to know the protocols of royalty, but to hear the music of a heart that refuses to harden. It is to understand that the world he builds is not solely one of monuments and miracles, but of metaphors and memories. He is a builder of bridges, between past and present, tradition and change, reason and romance. And every bridge he builds begins with a single word of sincerity. As the world watches his leadership, they may miss the poetry that pulses beneath. But those who listen closely will hear it, in every breath, every glance, every pause before a smile. The echoes of his crowned heart are not confined to royal chambers or diplomatic halls. They are scattered like golden petals across the earth. In every life he touches, in every dream he inspires, the sound of his soul lingers long after the applause fades. And so, dear world, as you stand at the gates of his realm, know that what lies beyond is more than power, more than prestige. It is the world of Sheikh Hamdan, where the heart rules the crown, where the pen holds more weight than the sword, and where the echoes of love are eternal. Welcome to his kingdom, where poetry reigns and truth is never exiled. In the heart of his golden solitude, Sheikh Hamdan continues to shape the language of longing into verses that feel like whispered thunder. His poetry does not ask to be understood, it dares to be felt. Every word he pens is a mirror, both to himself and to those who have ever dared to love beyond limits. The world watches him with admiration, but those who read his soul through his stanzas know that beneath the glory lies a sacred ache, a yearning stitched quietly into the fabric of his falcons fly high, but his thoughts fly higher. They travel to moments lost, to days when her laughter was not a memory but a melody in his everyday. No crown can weigh more than the echo of a departed beloved, and even as he leads a nation with unwavering hands, his heart continues to return to that single place where love first whispered its name. In this retreat of remembrance, he finds not weakness but fuel, for love, to him, is the flame that ignites all purpose. What the world calls luxury, he often sees as longing dressed in gold. The silence of marble corridors, the quiet of candle-lit royal halls, they hold more than wealth. They hold memories. Places where her scent still lingers in his dreams, where her shadow still dances in his mind's theater. His palace is filled with voices, yet there is one voice his heart strains to hear, a voice that once called him not Sheikh, not your highness, but simply, my love. There are moments he walks to the edge of his balcony and lets the night air speak to him. The stars remind him of promises, those he made, those he broke, and those he still keeps in silence. He does not speak to the moon for answers, but to share truths he cannot speak aloud. Every time the wind brushes his face, he imagines it is her hand again, reminding him that what was real in love never really leaves, it only transforms into something eternal. In the sacred pages of his private journals, he writes as though time itself is listening. He doesn't just document emotions, he releases them. The truth of his heart bleeds into metaphors and metaphysics, into dunes and dreams, into faith and fire. Even when his pen falls silent, the walls of his world echo the rhythms of verses never spoken but deeply felt. For him, poetry is not an art, it is survival. The loyalty he gives to his people is unmatched, but the devotion he gave to her is timeless. In every act of leadership, there is a trace of the love that taught him patience, tenderness, and truth. The woman who once stood beside his spirit now stands within it. Her grace trained his gentleness. Her strength sharpened his own. And though she may no longer walk beside him, she walks within every word he offers to the world. The throne he sits upon gleams under sunlight, but it is his inner world that gleams under truth. He has never been afraid to show the scars of love, the shadows of absence, or the sweetness of hope. He speaks so that others may know that even princes bleed, even rulers weep, and even the strongest hearts ache when they remember a love that once changed everything. In this honesty, Sheikh Hamdan becomes not just a royal, but a refuge. He watches the youth of his nation with care, often hoping that they will learn what he had to discover in silence. That strength does not mean silence, and leadership without love is an empty stage. His heart becomes a message to those who dare to dream beyond titles, who believe in the kind of love that can't be announced but must be lived. To them, he is not just a leader, he is living poetry, a crowned soul speaking to the uncrowned hearts of the world. And when the crowds cheer, when the flags rise, when the world applauds his triumphs, he smiles. But not always for them. Sometimes, he smiles for her. For the one who inspired the man behind the myth. For the one who taught him that vulnerability is not to be hidden, but to be held with honor. He smiles for the echo of her voice that still lives inside him, shaping his every tomorrow. In the stillness of dawn, before the kingdom awakens, Sheikh Hamdan sits with his heart. He doesn't speak. He listens, to the echoes, the memories, the unspoken promises. In those moments, the world is quiet enough for him to feel her again, to hear her name in the rustle of leaves, to sense her laughter in the warmth of morning sun. The crowned heart, though burdened, continues to beat for her. The love story of Sheikh Hamdan is not written with diamonds or decree, but with devotion and depth. His poetry is the proof. His voice, the vessel. And his life, the ultimate canvas upon which love paints its eternal hues. The world may see him as a prince, but through his poetry, we see the man, a man who loved, who lost, and who chose to love again, even if only in silence. And so, the echoes continue. They move through his people, his poetry, his palace, and his prayers. Echoes of a crowned heart, of a sovereign soul forever tied to a love that defied time. These echoes do not fade. They transform. They linger. And they remind us all that real love, even royal love, never ends. It only becomes eternal.